Hello, everybody. Welcome to Your Sound. This is Neal Cappellino talking to you. And I'd like to talk to you today about mix templates. I'm going to show you what I do to set up a mix with auxiliary tracks and effects returns, things like that. This will be tracks that I import into an existing Pro Tools session to set up a mix. And to get going, I'm just going to start with a blank session, no audio really. Just want to show you the tracks that comprise my mix template. So we're going to start with a blank Pro Tools session and import session data. Quick key for import session data is Option Shift I, pick our source Pro Tools session document, and we're going to take all these tracks. So just click and drag down this window and pop them up as new tracks. Track data to import. Let's take it all. Click OK and watch them populate. Okay, looks like a lot at first, and it is, but it makes sense once you get into it. So let's get into it. All these blue tracks are auxiliary tracks that are going to receive, all of them are going to receive audio from the existing Pro Tools session. So I tend to route by instruments, starting with drums. So all the drum tracks are going to route to this @drum tracks, and I use the ampersand as a prefix to designate an auxiliary track. And you can see that the input is so labeled @drums. Same with spank, that's going to be a parallel compression track for drums. @perc, @bass, all the way on down the line to lead vocals and effects. That's going to take all our effects returns and route them through this stereo auxiliary as well. So everything up on top is input assigned to the appropriate input, and it's all labeled in my I/O setup. I like it that way. It's easy to see what's going on. You don't have to chase your tail trying to find out who's going where, is going why. And then all these tracks are assigned to my internal mix bus, which is labeled, you guessed it, mix bus. I have a stereo VCA master for all these, which allows me to just manipulate the gain basically of all the audio tracks. And that is helpful if you find that your gain staging is too low or too hot. And you can make the adjustment here with one fader pretty easily. The dummy track is nothing more than a cheat. It's just a quick and dirty way to avoid the drop-down menu to find your bus assignment for an effect. So I option click and drag as I need, and it just makes it easy. It gives me a quick visual, and I usually hide that track after a little while, and but it's just an easy startup tool. All the yellow stuff is our effects returns. This is a real nice complement of effects that I like to start mixes with. I won't always use all of them, or rarely use all of them, but I like to pick and choose and audition effects. And then the ones that I don't use, I just hide and make inactive. But just going across the top, the UA EMT 140, 250, and Lex 224, some of my favorites. Likewise, their AMS RMX 16 is awesome. The Altiverb, the Revibe, Stereo Echo Boy, Dimension D, Mono Echo Boy. I like to have stereo and mono versions of those guys. The Massey is a cool DDL, the TD5. And then UA's EP34 and RE201 are really nice sounding tape-based delay emulations. So all these again have appropriately labeled input assignments, and then they're all routed to @effects, which is the stereo auxiliary over here back with the audio tracks. Kind of a redundant thing. I've got a VCA for all the effects as well, but I rarely use it. I'll probably take that out. On the 2-mix bus and 2-mix print side of things, I have it set up with a stereo submaster, an auxiliary stereo track that is has its input assignment mix bus. So everything's being summed internally and going through this stereo auxiliary track. And this is the track where I will put my 2-mix processing when I apply it. If you've watched any of the earlier Your Sound videos, I always try and get my 2-mix happening without 2-mix inserts or 2-mix plugins applied, so that I'm not leaning on those plugins for my actual mix sound. But when I do apply them, this is where they go. In addition to putting plugin processing on the auxiliary tracks, the auxiliary groups, I will put my 2-mix processing on here. And from there, most of you are in LE, so I have this set up to function in LE without the audio input feature that HD systems have. So input assignment to mix bus, output assignment to my monitoring. To bus record in LE, I have an insert send set at unity going to an internal bus called print. And here's my audio track with its input assignment to the internal print bus. That's going to be printing the actual mix in real time. Do it this way versus a bounce to disk. There's a couple of just kind of workflow reasons that I do it this way as opposed to the bounce to disk. I like working in real time, seeing the mix print. Sometimes I work ahead of the mix and change things, and sometimes I'll go back and punch in a section if I miss something on the mix and I don't have to re-render or reprint everything. There's a number of reasons why the bus print is cool for me. You pick the way that's easiest for you, and that's what's important. On the master fader, I always just keep a frequency spectrum tool that gives me a quick footprint of the mix in a frequency analysis. So that's a handy tool, and I hope all this is handy and helpful for you. Thanks for tuning into Your Sound. This is Neal Cappellino. I'll see you next time.